And the way I tend to describe it is that Ukraine, in my view, has more staying power than Russia. Ukraine can endure, even though it's suffering, immensely with battlefield losses and the cities being attacked. It has the staying power. So it is. I don't think I would agree with, the conventional wisdom that Russia is winning. It's winning in if your measurement is just, small territorial gains, but that's not how you win a war. Not with countries and territories this large. It's going to be something substantially more robust, and I don't think Russia has it, especially with the Europeans and the U.S. still in support.
What does Russia have to lose by carrying on with the war? At this point, it seems to have the upper hand, and seems to be willing to endure some horrific casualties, right? I think the estimate is about 1 million casualties, maybe 300 to 400,000 actual deaths. That is far out, it far exceeds the Ukrainian loss, maybe by a factor of 10. So, what would force Putin to concede anything and to try to enter into peace negotiations for real?
Sure. So I think I'll take those in two parts. What would force him to concede, and frankly, what's keeping him in this war? What's keeping him in this war is the is a couple of different things. One is that he does feel like he's got the upper hand from a military standpoint, uh, careless of the lives lost of his own citizens. He's happy to trade thousands of lives for, meters, kilometers, really a kind of snail's pace for the size of Ukraine to really achieve anything kind of substantial. They've suffered enormous casualties for little gains this year alone, and um, he's willing to accept those in part because he believes that under the Trump administration he may still be able to achieve a victory. He may be able to get Trump to drop support entirely for Ukraine. That's what he's kind of lobbying. He's saying he's trying to convince him that Ukraine is the obstacle to peace, obstacle to Trump's desire for a Nobel Peace Prize, and he's willing to stick with this war, even though it is in fact very very costly for Russia from an economic standpoint, from um, the losses that their military is suffering for some time longer because again Trump may deliver a victory that he can't achieve on the battlefield. And my theory, I wrote an article in Foreign Affairs actually in September of last year, and then again kind of deeper analysis at the beginning of this year on what maybe could have resulted in a push towards peace. A scenario in which the U.S. levied draconian sanctions, really what we call blocking sanctions, the means to ensure that Russia is frozen out of its oil and gas trade with, the smallest trickle through black market and contraband type sales that grind down its economy. A Ukraine armed to the teeth, and the signal sent that Ukraine will get enduring support as long as Ukraine is in this war, and at the same time, some putting these pieces together where is able to achieve some battlefield successes, that would be sufficient, in my view, to get Putin to be more thoughtful and start to wind down to engage in, earnest negotiations that are not maximalist, that are not seeking Ukraine's capitulation. I think that was a completely viable outcome. Maybe would have been. I'm not saying that the Harris administration would have gone all in, but it would have certainly promised continued support.
Hi, I'm Pat Morrison, one of the hosts of America at a Crossroads. If you like this video, don't just watch. Head over to our website where you can subscribe for early access to new programs, see our upcoming schedules, and connect directly with our guests in our weekly live streams. Thank you for watching.
But what Trump has done is the exact reverse. He's been very, very mercurial with regards to his relationship with Zelensky. There was at one point and of course everybody remembers the awful Oval Office meeting in which I think we as a nation were humiliated by this president, and a subsequent freezing out of Ukraine for a short period of time, a little bit less than 2 weeks. But that is a scenario in which Putin thinks Ukraine could be cast aside. Russia could entice Putin with Trump with business deals and so forth. So I think in this scenario, the prospects of this war continuing on for another year are extremely high because the proposition has to be tested by Putin. He has to see what else he could get in terms of giveaways from Trump. He has to see if his even though he's taking enormous losses, if that strategy could stack up into something that the Ukrainians might break. And let me talk about the military dimension here for a second, because Russia is 3.5 times the size of Ukraine. Its economy is 10 times the size of Ukraine's, and those resources, if they were effectively employed, could be crushing. But morale in the Russian army is awful. Training is awful. They conduct kind of a human wave, or what are sometimes unfortunately referred to as meat assaults, just people sent across the battlefield. They are not able to sustain their force with this military material that they need in order to achieve kind of significant gains like tanks, armored vehicles. They're losing them at too large a pace. Ukraine is a smaller force, but it has a higher morale. It's better trained. It was enjoying support from the West, and they're fighting for their home territory, so they're fighting fiercely. But at the same time, they have significant manpower shortages. So this is not, a decisive advantage for Russia. It is not a catastrophe for Ukraine. The margins are actually quite thin. And the way I tend to describe it is that Ukraine, in my view, has more staying power than Russia. Ukraine can endure even though it's suffering, immensely with battlefield losses and the cities being attacked. It has the staying power. So it is. I don't think I would agree with, the conventional wisdom that Russia is winning. It's winning in if your measurement is just, small territorial gains, but that's not how you win a war. Not with countries and territories this large. It's going to be something substantially more robust, and I don't think Russia has it, especially with the Europeans and the U.S. still in support.
And definitely tune in next week to hear what Mike Mullen has to say about this and other topics of national security interest. And I will see you again sometime in the near future. Have a great night.